Lesson 75, adding and subtracting with like denominators. So we finished up one unit of fractions and now we are moving on to doing some more work with fractions. The last unit was kind of just the fraction basics, learning how to simplify fractions, things like that. And now we're actually going to be doing some calculations with fractions. So you'll notice that I have skipped lesson 74. That is on purpose. That's because lesson 74 is a lesson that we would normally do in class together with fraction bars, so like actual fraction pieces that you can move around. Now, obviously you don't have those at home. So what I'm going to be doing is I'll be just using some picture models that are going to do a similar thing. It can give you a bit of a visual of actually what's happening here. So we're skipping lesson 75 and going straight to skipping lesson 74 and going straight to lesson 75. All right, so let's take a look at what we are going to be doing here. Our lesson today is going to start pretty simple. We're going to be adding and subtracting some simple fractions. So here's an example. We have 7/8 of, let's say, a chocolate bar. It's a rectangle. And we take away 2/8 of that chocolate bar. How much chocolate is left? Well, if we don't even look at the numbers and we just look at the picture of the chocolate bar, I have 7/8 colored in. And, oh no, that looks weird. Well, hopefully you can figure it out what's happening. I'm not really sure what this is doing. You get the idea though. So we had 7/8 of a chocolate bar and then you ate 2 more pieces of the chocolate. So we removed 2 of the pieces. How many eighths are we left with? Well, we are left with 5 pieces out of 8. So our answer is 5/8. So 7/8 minus 2/8 equals 5/8. Okay, so picture-wise, that's easy to see, but I want you to notice here what is really happening. We have 2 fractions with the same denominator, and notice that the denominator, we don't subtract, we don't do 8 minus 8. The denominator stays as part of our answer. Okay, so when you're adding and subtracting fractions with the same denominator, nothing happens to the denominator. It stays the same. You can think about it as like your chocolate bar was originally split into 8 pieces. Those 8 pieces don't change. There still were 8 pieces, whether you're adding or subtracting more of them. So really what you have to pay attention to when your denominator is the same is the top numbers, and all you have to do is the simple addition or subtraction at the top. So all you have to do is 7 minus 2, and then you come to your answer of 5/8. Let's do a few more examples. Here we're going to do some addition. 1/4 plus 1/4. So let's say you had 2 separate chocolate bars this time and they only had a quarter left in them. What would happen if you put those 2 quarters of chocolate together? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quarter from one chocolate bar and add it to the other one. So we've removed the quarter from over here, and then we put it over here. 1/4 plus 1/4 is 2 quarters. Same thing we noticed earlier. The denominator remains the same. You don't do anything with that. All you do is the addition or the subtraction in the numerator. 1 plus 1 is 2. Now, something that's very important for you to remember in this lesson and future lessons is whenever you come to an answer after adding or subtracting, you have to make sure that your answer is in simplest form. Now, our answer over here was already in simplest form. We couldn't simplify 5/8 anymore. 2/4, however, can be simplified, so we need to simplify it into 1/2. And that makes sense also if you look at our model, right? You can see that half of a chocolate bar is there. Let's do another one. Here we have 5/6 minus 1/6. Take my eraser. I remove one of those sixths. And we end up with 4/6. Then we think to ourselves, is it in simplest form? No, it's not, Both of our numbers are even, so you can always divide by 2. And we end up with 2/3, right? If you think, let's make some thicker lines here. If you just think about the vertical lines or the up and down lines, right? We've got a third here, a third here, and a third here, right? And we have 2/3 left over. A couple more things to keep in mind. If you come across a question like this, where you have to do your simple addition, so remember, denominator stays the same. So we've got a 12 on the bottom, then you do 7 plus 5 on the top, the numerator, and you get 12. If you come across a fraction where the numerator and the denominator are the same, you automatically simplify it to one whole. Okay, I didn't draw a picture, but you can imagine you've got a pizza. Imagine it's split into 12 pieces. If you have all 12 of those pieces, you have the whole pizza. It is one whole pizza. Okay, so same number on the numerator and the denominator equals 1, always. Let's do the second example here. Leave our denominator the same. So we've got a 7 on the bottom here. 6 plus 3 is 9. Now, this fraction is improper. If a fraction is improper, it's not in simplest form. You have to change it into a mixed number, just like we learned in the last unit. So remember, maybe make some space by erasing that pizza over there. We take our numerator and we divide it by our denominator. We go 9 divided by 7. 7 goes into 9 one time. 1 times 7 is 7. We end up with a remainder of 2. All right, so now remember, the top number is the whole number. I'm going to run out of space. I'll write it down here a little bit. The top number is the whole number. The remainder is the numerator. And the number you divided by is the denominator because it came from over there. So here is our final simplified answer. Now, it could be the case, I suppose, that this fraction, once you've made it into a mixed number, is also not in simplest form. So let's say it came out as 2/4 or something, then you would have to simplify it further into 1 and 1/2. Okay, so just really making sure that all of your answers are fully in simplest form. And other than that, it's not really too tricky to do. All you have to remember is that you add or subtract the numerators, you keep the same denominator, and then you simplify if needed. Now there's one more thing I need to tell you before I end this video. Your textbook will sometimes show addition and subtraction of fractions like this with the two fractions stacked on top of each other. Don't get concerned by that. It really means the same thing as the way I've been showing you, where you just have two fractions being added together. Okay, it means the same thing. I, in general, prefer writing mine this way, but I'll let you choose how you would like to do it. Just really make sure, even if you stack these numbers on top, that you're not thinking that you need to add 8 plus 8 and have a different denominator. You have to keep the same denominator always, okay? So that's the reason I like this one a little bit better. I find it kind of easier to keep track of. I'm not adding those denominators, but maybe it's different for you. So that's up to you, your choice, but just know that these mean the same thing. They are equal. And that's it for today. So hopefully a pretty simple lesson for you.